Okay, thanks very much. We are now here with Heather, who's running for governor. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit about your campaign and who you are and what your platform's about, Heather, if you could.
Okay, well, I am Heather Collins, and I'm your Green Party candidate running for governor in the recall election of Gavin Newsom. And I am, with your vote, I will be California's first Green Party governor, California's first woman governor, California's first single mother governor, California's first woman-owned small business owner. And so I would like to accomplish a first.
Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about some of the issues in this campaign. Probably one of the biggest ones has to do with the impact of COVID on the state.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of mandates and recommendations and suggestions. God, I was out to dinner tonight in San Francisco and they asked for a vaccine card to seat me, which I have, but it's a weird experience. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'd ask you, has the state done a good job in dealing with COVID? What would you do differently, if anything, going forward, not just for businesses, but also for schools?
Well, I'm really disappointed that the kids were out of school for so long last year, and the possibility that they're going out again. Kids don't have a huge risk factor in COVID as far as we know so far. And to have them out of school for so long, I just thought that they were really losing out on education and time and socialization. One of my key things is education is the key to ending systemic poverty. I would like to have schools have things that are more relevant to the children and young adults. It doesn't have to be a 4-year college education that they go to afterwards. It can be a trade school or something like that, but let them know what they can do to earn a decent living where they can afford a home and possessions and whatever they want to do, instead of just feeding them information that really won't help them much in the real world. Like, they should have a life skills course in high school to learn how to deal with all kinds of things, like filling out forms. How do you get IDs? How would you go about doing something like that? So I think a life skills course is a good thing for them. And like I said, education is a key to ending systemic poverty. And there's a lot of cultures that I think do not appreciate the younger generation doing better than the previous generation. I'm an immigrant woman, so I wasn't really pushed to exceed that much in school. So I understand that kind of mentality, and I think we can do a lot better job with that.
Yeah, now you mentioned something about systemic poverty. One of the things we've seen, at least here in the big cities like San Francisco and LA, is a real increase in homelessness over the last couple of years. And I think we'd all agree that it's a problem. I wonder if you've given that some thought and have some ideas as to how you might deal with that.
Yeah, that's one of my main things also. And even if I don't win the governorship, I have shared this with the other candidates and on other platforms, and I'm hoping that it can be used. The people that cannot take care of themselves should be in some sort of facility to have care. It's the state's responsibility to take care of the people that cannot take care of themselves. They could repurpose hospitals that are closed and military bases that are closed for this quite easily. And the ones that want to remain unhoused, because there's a lot of people that don't want to be inside. They don't want to go to the room keys and stuff like that. I would like the cities to take over large parking structures or parking-like structures, or build them. And they could be 8 to 10 stories high. Each person could be given an assigned spot. They could get a tent if they needed a tent. They can bring their pets and their belongings. They would be sheltered from the rain and the sun and still have airflow coming through. So, it's still relatively healthy with the fresh air. And they could come with their communities, because one of the things that the Project Room Key is failing at is they're not with the communities that they've formed on the streets. And just like the rest of us, they have their communities. We like our communities, and they're no different. So if they could move there with their communities, you could, I believe, relocate them easier. And then they could have toilets, showers, laundry facilities. If they need help getting IDs, because I'm sure a lot of them don't have IDs, and then they don't have paperwork to prove who they were or are. And they could get GEDs. There could be job training. There could be security for them and the surrounding community. And there would be medical assistance. They could, really be encouraged to rejoin society at their pace. But this is a much more cost-effective way than building the 500,000 per single unit homeless shelters that they're now doing. So, anybody that's heard this has thought it's been a great idea. And like I said, if it's one thing that my running for governor will come out of this, is for that to be utilized.
Yeah. Now I notice you're running on the Green Party platform. Can you tell me a little bit about that and what that means?
Well, I became a citizen 20 years ago, and I've been a Democrat that whole time. And I've been recently very disappointed with the Democratic leadership. So I decided to run for governor, and I did not want to stay in the Democratic Party. So I joined the Green Party, and I'm very happy because they really resonate with me. So that's why I'm running with the Green Party.
Okay. So since we're talking about cities, the other thing that we've seen happen over the last couple of years is, well, a couple of things. Number one is crime. It really seems to have increased. What would you do to help California deal with its increasing crime problem?
Well, I want law and order back again. I want to refund the police the way that, like, for example, in San Francisco, there's, I think, 17 Walgreens that are closing because people just walk in and they could steal up to $950 worth of merchandise and not be prosecuted. So that's why those stores are closing. That takes away from the community where they can't go shopping now. And, also not allowing people to sleep in the beaches and the parks and the streets. And just, a general, let's follow the rules again. People are tired of this crime, and they're also not being punished. Even though we voted for that last year, they're not doing cash bail. And the people of California voted for cash bail.
Okay. And then the other thing, I said there were a couple of things that we've seen really increase this last year or two. The other is, of course, the forest fires,
Yeah.
Which has just been an environmental disaster for the state and the country, hasn't it? Do you have any thoughts on what we might be able to do better to deal with this going forward?
Well, I would like to see more forest management. Gavin Newsom overstated his forest management by 690%. And, decades ago, we had a lot more sawmills in California, and the forest fires were not as big. So that might have something to do with, like reducing the forest fires. And also, just little things like maybe having goats in certain areas to clean up brush, which they use in a lot of areas, but I don't know if they're using that in the forest, but I think that could be a good thing. And with the water, the drought, I would like to stop the bullet train and put that money into maybe research and development into using desalinization plants along the coast, because we have that huge body of water out there that we could definitely use. And that would help the cities with their water, and also help the farmers in the Central Valley have more water available for them that's not going to the cities.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to forget about the drought, even though it's a bad one with all of the other things that are going on, but that is a very serious issue, no doubt about it. So I guess my last substantive question for you, is there anything else that you'd like me to ask you, or that I should have asked that I haven't, about your campaign? Any points that you would like to make, issues you'd like to raise with our audience here?
Well, I am pro-choice, so that goes for everything, including whether you want to get the vaccine or not. I am not a big fan of having to show your health history to random people, like you said, in restaurants and everything. I think that's private, and it's still experimental. So I'm really happy that they have it. If people want to get it, I think that's great, and it's helped a lot of people and eased a lot of fears. But I don't think it should be mandatory, and I don't think that you have to show your health history to restaurateurs or concert events or things like that.
Okay, well, thank you, Heather. Last question: if someone wants to get a hold of you and find out a little bit more about your campaign, maybe support you, how do they do that? Where do they find you?
On governorheather.com.
Governorheather.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with your vote, let's accomplish something here.
Okay, so here with Heather Collins at governorheather.com. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Roger.
Good luck to you.
Thanks.